Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another ramble. So last ramble I had mentioned that I was about to do a like a bingo competition. I was kind of in a rush, so I apologize about the short video, but that competition has now ended, and I've decided now it's a good time to talk about what went on and how it went and what we got done. So before we get into the bingo stuff, you can see here I'm just barb fishing in game. I've after the last week I've done a lot of fishing in Hunter specifically, and I've kind of just enjoyed just AFKing barb fish now instead of day alt. At the moment I have like way too much day alt, and I don't really plan on using it anytime soon, so we just have all this stored XP just like sitting in the bank we need to use up eventually. And so I've kind of decided now just to change my AFK skill to instead of day alt doing barb fish. I might go get a barrel to make this a little better, but at the moment I'm just dropping the fish. Alright, so let's first jump into what exactly the bingo was all about, like how like the teams worked and everything. So we can look here and you can see there are 3 different teams. Each team has a captain and a co-captain, and those captains draft players to their team, and then those teams have to compete and try to like skill or boss and to complete like certain tile thresholds. And what I mean by that is we have a board like this where there is 16 different tiles, and your aim is to try to complete as many of the tiers as you can. So you can see a tier here is 375 total farming contracts, and then 550 farming contracts, and so on. So each time you complete one of these tiers, you gain 1 point towards the bingo, and whatever team has the most points wins. There's also bonus points if you complete an entire row in a certain tier. So if you complete a tier of the second tier, which is the green one there, you complete that tier in an entire row, you'll get 2 points. So it encourages like teams to try to complete most of the tiles. Don't just stack all of your like hours on a few tiles and just completely neglect some skills. Obviously you can still neglect skills if you have like a lot in a row, but for the most part it encourages like some diversity. But yeah, so 10 million mining here is the equivalent of 80 hours of doing granite, 125k an hour. That makes sense. And then we also have like the EHP tiles, non-raid and raid, so there's a little bit of a little bit of bossing there. Yeah, so for our dupe tile, what we decided was to do fishing and agility, because we have a lot of people that like to do agility and a lot of people like to do fishing, so we were capping out on that before the bingo was over. So this allowed us to continue doing those skills. I think we did it for like another 40 hours each. So this cap here is 160 hours on fishing and 160 hours on agility. There's agility down here. And that allowed us to now take the cap to like 200 hours of fishing and 200 hours of agility, or more if we decided to. But yeah, we stopped at that. You'll see. Okay, so let's get into, so the end of the bingo. So this is a little spoiler how it ended. So like I said, there's 8 bonus points you can have as a cap. That's the row and the column stuff. And then the rest is just from completing 40-hour thresholds, basically. So every 8 mil woodcutting XP, that's 40 hours. You gain 1 point, and so on. So the 2 teams that were tied, as you can see, we both completed 42 of those tile points, and then got the 8 bonus cap. So we finished at both 50 total points. And in the case of a tie, it goes down to total hours. So you just take the sum of all these rows. So 160 plus 47 plus 160, just add them all together, and whoever has the highest total at that point is the winner. And in our case, we had done 17 more hours. It was very close. And yeah, this bingo like ended kind of similar, where both teams were tied and it came down to board hours. Last time it was 4 hours, this time it was 17 hours, so very close, right to the end once again. Yeah, so I guess we'll start off by looking at like the main EHP. So this is the main EHP for the comp. we got second in the total comp, which is pretty awesome. I was doing Driftnets the entire time, so that I believe Driftnets are the main EHP. It was nice doing like a method that is actually the method used for EHP. So as you can see here, like our team particularly was way ahead in main EHP compared to the other teams, even though like with the apes we only won by 17 total hours. That was because their team was more focused on doing raids in EHP, whereas our team did a lot less raids in EHP and more actual like skilling stuff. So not like all the hours are actually on this page. So you also have to consider that there is also the EHB. So I'll go into EHB. This is our team specific EHB. I ended up doing 18. So 18 hours of EHB, and then I did 137 hours of EHP. So it's like 155, I guess, hours. So a little more than it shows. Let's look at the exact XP and what I did on here. So the bingo was 9 days, and that's including like the 6 hour at the beginning. So if you don't include the 6th hour, it was 8 days and 18 hours. But if you do include it, it was just 9 full days. So in those 9 days, we did 10.6 million fishing and almost 14 million hunter. That was the majority of where my time went into. I did Driftnets for 8 days, and I was finished with like 26 hours left in the comp. Like, so it was around 8 days I spent doing Driftnets straight. A little bit of bank skills on the side. Whenever I needed AFK, I just did Herbalore, or I did crafting. I did dehides, and I had Toad Flax brews to make. And then I also did 2 hours of mining because our mining tile was so close to being finished. And we just each did like a couple hours of that to get that done. And then I did a little bit of RC, and I did some construction also. Did like 3 hours and a bit of benches, mahogany benches, and then we can see the raids here. For raids, we did 55 chambers, and those 55 chambers that we did were on the final day. That was like all in one day, essentially. I'll get into like how that was possible a little later, but yeah. So yeah, that's the XP. One record I got out of this, personal record, was for skilling records right here. We actually reached a new EHP, a main EHP week record, 124 hours. So main EHP, yeah, 120, 425. My previous best was like 90 something hours of EHP, which I think was like thieving or cooking or something. Yeah, so this was quite an improvement. I proved it by like 30 hours plus. And to do that, I was sleeping 4.5 hours per night, and I skipped a few nights of sleep. So it was like in 9 days, I think I did 7 4.5 hour sleeps. Yeah, I think 7. At the beginning, I was trying to do 3 hours, so I would do a 3 hour, but then like when I woke up, I was like I'd get tired so fast, so I do another 1.5 hours. So it worked out to be like 4.5 hours per night, minus like 2 of the days. So that is eventually like 3 or 4 days in, I got to like the groove of doing the 4.5s, to the point where like even though I was sleeping so little, I didn't actually need an alarm to wake up. I was waking up at 4.5 like on the dot, like before like a couple of minutes before my alarm, which is pretty cool because I was so tired, but like I was just so motivated or whatever to like just get out of bed and like get going. I didn't like sleep in at all. So that was like the first comp where I was actually able to like keep to like a strict sleep schedule. I was pretty happy with. In the past, like I've had like one day where I messed up and I slept through my alarm and I go like 6 hours. This one I didn't go over whatsoever. And yeah, so since bingo ended, I slept 14, 15 hours straight. Yeah, I guess I didn't wake up once through those. I didn't wake up once through those 15 hours. Yeah, so in terms of like the caffeine that I use to like stay up, I don't take caffeine that much on my regular schedule. So like when I do have caffeine, I find it helps a lot. I think the last day I stayed up at 36 hours. I didn't need any caffeine whatsoever for that. I was just, the motivation of the end of bingo was just enough to keep me awake. So the Driftnet loot on the side, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there's some of these Driftnets were calculated, were from before the bingo, but probably 14, 15K are from during the bingo, and it's around 110 nets per hour. And so let's see, that's the loot you can get from the drift nets. That's what we were doing. So that's a lot of cooking XP you could potentially bank. So to bank the fish when you're doing the method, it actually costs 5 numulite per net. So if I'm doing 15,000 nets, I'm going to need 75,000 numulite. I hadn't really considered that. So like a day into the grind, I ran out of numulite and I couldn't bank the fish anymore. You can see all the fish that we got, but we actually didn't get any of these fish. Other than what we got before bingo, which was like 7,000 nets or something before bingo. So yeah, most of these fish we actually didn't bank. Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was Chambers of Xeric. So on the final day, we were down quite a bit. I guess 2 days ago, we were down quite a bit. We were trying to make a comeback. So one of the tiles we still had left to do was raids. We were sitting at like 30 hours of raids, and the next tile was at 40. So we needed another 10 hours of raids. And so what we had thought to do, some of the other groups were, one of the other teams was doing it, was to send like, instead of sending solo raids, to send like 7-man raids, because you can like have a large amount of people on your team getting like close to 1-to-1 EHP, which was like really good. Because like having 7 people doing raids, you're all getting the same rate, whereas having 7 people doing fishing, I don't know if like you can find 7 people on our team that can get 1-to-1 fishing for a long period of time, especially near the end of the competition when you're like completely fried. Like these raids were like a blessing to do, because at this point like I couldn't do any skilling method. So I've put together a breakdown of total hours our team had, so you can kind of see like the progression of the competition. And does this show here? Let's see. First thing I want to say is these hours aren't 100% accurate, because you have to take into account that some people are probably on like a 6-hour log and their XP hasn't been counted yet because they haven't logged out. So it's only counting like what's an available account. Like probably some hours not accounted for because people are still logged in and they haven't like logged out to update their XP. But for the most part, it's like somewhat an accurate representation of how the competition went. So you can see by the end of the first 6 hours, we're already behind like 12, 13 hours. We didn't have a lot of 6-hour people on our team. From what I noticed, it was like maybe 6 or something, 7. Not everyone could do the full 6 hours. I think only like a fair few could. Most people were just like coming in a little late, which is fine. But yeah, so that meant we started way behind. For our 6-hour, mostly most people did fishing. I obviously did drift nets, so I did fishing and hunter. So you can see why there's the 3 hours of hunter and the 14 hours of fishing. A bunch of other people did fishing too. Yeah, so for the first 6 hours we were behind, and then this is after the first day. After day 1 we were 30 hours behind. So you can see a lot of people are already starting to do their herblore. Our team did a lot of fishing. DKO's team did a lot of agility, and then Rayabata's team did like a lot of everything. You can see the difference is made just through the herb and prey tile, which is a pretty free tile in the end. So being down 20 hours with it just being only in herb isn't too bad. Not bad of a position. And then so day 2 now, and now it's just following a similar pattern. Let's keep going through this. Day 3. All right, so looking at day 4 now, we are reaching a point where we're like 50 hours down. this part where you're like, what, 55 hours down, it's you start to get a little demotivated. It's like, damn, like every day we're behind. Like we're not making any progress. Like the day before we were 50 behind, now we're like 55 behind. We're not really getting anywhere. We have the cope the entire bingo. It's like, oh yeah, we're 20 less herbs, so that's free. 25 herb we can still get, so that we're not actually 50 or whatever behind. We're like 25. Cope going. Like, oh yeah, we got this. We have so much over EHP left. Yeah, so there's still, there's still crafting here that we can do. We have 75 crafting. The other team has 93. So like, there's 20 hours of crafting there. There's 20 hours of herb there. Like that's 40 hours. Like we're pretty much keeping up, right? Is that a cope? Possibly. But the next day, this one, I think this one seems kind of weird because we got back up, but I guess I'll talk about this. This like chart is created by like my Discord bot that I have in Discord. And it only updates when we tell it to update. So we usually update in a favorable time for us when we just did a bunch of 6-hour logs. So at this point, I think we had just done like a bunch of logs, and like after logging out with everyone, we were this far down, whereas other teams probably are sitting on a bunch of hours being logged in. So it looks like we kind of came back, but I think we did just all log out at the same time and done an update. So yeah, still about 20 hours, 20, 30 hours down. Yeah, so it follows a similar trend. At one point, like halfway into the comp, we like kind of decided like we gotta like motivate people, because some people are getting like kind of demotivated. When you see the total hours, it's not really going up, like and not really gaining anything on anyone. It's kind of like demotivating. It's like we're trying, but it's just not enough. And there's a lot of people like during the weekday specifically that couldn't play as much. So just a matter of like just trying to cope until we get to the weekend where people can play more, and hopefully then we could catch up. Yes, I don't really talk about each individual day, but yeah, we're basically just down bad. And then all the way up to the final day, things started getting completed, and this was the final. Yeah, this was the end. So this is what it looked like at the very end. Basically, ZKO's team, they duped the agility tile. So normally the agility tile is 160 hours. They duped it to 320. You can do it twice. So they capped out on the full duped tile too. So they completed that one. Whereas our team was more focused on doing fishing and agility. We did 40 extra hours in both of those. And then raids, we got to 160. So the difference between this screenshot and this one is 14 hours. You can see in the last 14 hours, we went from 64 hours in raids to 160. So basically what our team was doing was running 7-mans, and near the end like 10-man raids. Like we're running 7-man raids for, it felt like 8, 9, 10 hours straight, just on repeat. We had Fee Poppy just scouting raids while we were raiding, and then like the second we were done, it was like 30-second downtime, right back in. The EHP rate, I believe, for raids is 22 minutes, and we were completing raids in like 19, 20 minutes, 18 minutes some. And as long as we had like a short downtime, we were on rate to complete that tile. The initial plan was to just stop at like 80, or like 80 is probably all we can get. Like this is like we were sitting at like 30. I'm like, oh, okay, let's get 40, and then I think we can push 80. And then like once we did 80, we're like, wait, hold on, we can push like 120, and then like the next log we're like, wait, hold on, we can do 160, and this is reachable. We just have to keep raiding and raiding. So the fact that we had 7+ people like in a raid for like 9 hours, whatever straight, was insane. Like the team's awesome. Like I didn't expect, when we had made the goal of doing that, like I really didn't expect it to actually happen. Just kind of like put it out there, like if we want to win, we're gonna have to do this many raids. We're gonna have to do like 170 raids, and then we ended up going to 160, so it was even more raids. We had to do a ton of raids, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of the team because like we set a goal for the 160 and we did it, and we had time to spare. We had like 2 hours left. It was awesome. And then we also, the last like 12 hours, we had fire making had to complete. We were sitting on 100 hours of fire making in the last day. and then we got to like 140, 148, 150 from like in the last day where people were doing winter top. We had a few guys on there. I think Mortal Coil, man. I think the guy was staying up. I don't think the guy slept. He was just destroying the fire making tile. It's so bad for the guy, man. Just sitting at winter top, just wants to go fishing. And anyways, he was destroying the fire making tile. Next was also burning redwoods to help out. And then the last 10 hours was done with redwoods, so we can get the 160 done. We just kind of like subbed out Next. He was doing raids with us. He got a T-bow during the raids. He was like super dry, so that was pretty cool. Then like the next raid after getting the T-bow, we're like, all right, can you go burn your redwoods? And then he went and burnt them real quick, and then I think came back to raids at the very end when he was done that. And then yeah, so that's how it ended up. Yeah, so here I have a breakdown on the hours gained per day on our like rival team that we were against. So here, just the bot made like a little comparison of how many hours we were gaining over another team, like how our hours gained, how our hours like contributed daily versus like the team that was like second place. So the Aribata team, they came second, and so this just compares to them like how many hours we were getting per day and the difference. So like as you can see with like the red at the very beginning, we were basically down like 60-70 hours around like day 6, day 7, and then the final like 2 days, I guess the final day, that's probably like the final day. Yeah, we made a comeback. Just like a lot of people just stayed logged in, like, and that was awesome. So it was really fun to have another close bingo. Definitely didn't expect that to happen again. I thought the last bingo, when it was a 4-hour difference, thought it was going to be like a once in a blue moon to happen. I didn't expect it to be a really close bingo. Normally with like 2 days, 3 days left, you can kind of work out who's going to win and who's going to lose. And most people, like, this is not like an RNG comp. You can see, like, you physically can't put this many hours in. If you're behind, it's like it's pretty much over. So we were just trying to, like, even though we were down, we were trying to like just cope real hard. We were just sucking in that copium the entire time. Like, yeah, we have over EHP left. Yeah, we can just bump out these raids. Like, we're good. We're fine. And then we did like on the final day, we did like a little breakdown on like how we expected to finish. So we were looking at this here. I kind of made my own version where I was like, okay, we need to tie. We need to get 50 points because I can't see them getting more than 50 points. So I was like, we have to get 50 points, and in order to get 50 points, we're gonna have to go from either 40 raids to 160, and then like 160 fishing to 200, or we're gonna lose. So it was like, okay, that's what we gotta do. We gotta do 160 hours of raids. So we did that, and I didn't expect to actually do it, but we did that. That was nice. Okay, so for goals for the future, the next like couple months, I think I'm just gonna do like some AFK fishing instead of Dale, and then I'm gonna maybe do some Slayer again. Just go back to doing Slayer, getting Hydra worked on. I have a lot of Alks that I want to use up because I've made a bunch of Dehyde bodies and battle staves during the bingo. So now I have all these Alks I need to get through. So usually I Alk at Hydra. That could be because I want to reach 1 build GP before my bank video in December. So I have another 200 mil I need to make until then, which I do have now all in Alks after making all those bodies and battle staves. So just a matter of alching them with the GP stack. And then I also have a lot of herb, a lot of prayer, a decent amount of cooking and stuff banked that I want to show in a bank video before actually using, and we can just make another video like a week or two later after we used it all and just show like the total XP after using everything. And then we can start the new year on like a fresh empty bank to see how much we can bank next year. That's pretty much it for the video. I guess expect one later this month or next month for sure. And thanks for watching. Have a good one.